Good morning, Service Lines community. How you all doing today? We are live in person in Chicago. Poor EJ.
What was I thinking? If it wasn't for these guys, I don't know if I'd ever come here.
Good morning, Robert. Appreciate the awesome comment yesterday, man. That was really cool.
I really charged us up. We were bummed out last night having dinner that we were in Chicago, even though we're together. But we read that testimonial. You changed the day for us, Robert.
Nope. Gasper, good morning, brother. Good morning.
So this is interesting. This is my second time doing this with you, the morning grind.
Yeah.
In person. And we were noticing, me and Mike had a picture of me at PSA, and I do it from my cell phone. And I'm like sitting here looking at myself, and then we go, you see all this stuff. That's what, when Zach says the host with the most equipment, he brought it all to Mike's house this morning.
It's true. I don't have the lighting though.
It took you like at least 20 minutes to set it all up.
That's why.
Well, in fairness, we would have been on time had I not got caught by a freight train.
Right. I mean, like, we got our lapel mics on.
Yep.
I'm the only mic you really need
here. He is just as ornery in person as he is online, guys.
Maybe more so.
Yeah, probably more so. Good morning, Alex. What is up, brother? How you doing? Yeah, the freight trains around here are no joke, man.
Yeah, it sucks.
And when they're slowing down to catch the switch, I'm like, no, do not block this. Do not block this crossing. Don't you dare do it. Canadian National, don't do it. Almost happened.
Them Canadians.
They need to be louder. All right. Thank you.
Oh, we need to be louder?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Nobody wants to listen to us anyway.
Yeah.
They just want to listen to this guy.
Zach's the cool host.
Maybe he did that on purpose. He tuned us down so that he can be the voice of this morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Rob Jones. I got hit by the Monday morning freight train too.
I did.
Man. Good morning, Juan. And good morning, of course, Rob.
I got tore up by the time change. Like last night, it was cool. I was like, okay, I'm only going to bed at 11 instead of midnight. But then I was asking Mike, what time do you do the morning grind here? Is it 7? What?
I'm like, yeah, you got to be up at 6, dude.
It's 8 o'clock. Ain't it supposed to be 9 o'clock here? And I know better, but
I don't know which way you go. Like thinking you're out in the ocean or something.
that's why the whole country should just go on Eastern time frame.
It is different, Joseph. It is different. I wasn't kidding when I said Mike literally lives 5 minutes away from me. I left my house when my mother-in-law got there at 6:30.
Yep.
And then got caught by a freight train. But when I hit my GPS into your house, not that I don't know where you live, but I always forget to turn on the first street. I go to the second street and then have to, it's annoying. Anyway, these neighborhoods were built by 3-year-olds with a crayon that went, yeah, this looks like a good way to do a street. Anyway, so you need GPS to find your way around. Anyway, but yeah, it said like 6 minutes to Mike's house. Like he really is 6 minutes.
In the Camaro, it's like
3 seconds.
You made me run a red light last night.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to follow a little closer.
Did you guys see the Saul category 4 in the ocean? And then it sounds like category 1 or 2 landfall.
Oh man,
It's going to be
We
hitting.
got out of there just in time.
So that's I have a friend who's a pastor down in Puerto Rico, and they got slammed with it. 5-year anniversary of the hurricane that like basically wiped out Puerto Rico. Came back, and I mean, almost to the day, destroyed half the island again.
Yeah, I was
Sucks.
talking to an appliance repair company owner down in PSA, and he lives in the Cayman Islands. And he talked about how after he moved down there, one of those storms came through, and he lost everything. His house was destroyed, all his vehicles, like everything gone. He had to start rebuilding everything from scratch.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, 5 years out. I mean, she said things were just starting to find some sense of normalcy, at least in her. I mean, it's already kind of a depressed island anyway, you know, because it's part of the United States. It started long before him, but that's here nor there. No, but so they were just starting to get some sense of normalcy, and you know, it's a lot like Haiti in the sense that there's a lot of just a lot of corruption.
So it's like in Illinois.
It is like Illinois. Send some help up here too, because I don't know who's worse, but we're right down there with Puerto Rico as far as corruption and taxes. So you know, need this thing to go out on the way. We have a rock show in Savannah this weekend. Need this thing to go on its way now. Sorry, saying they need more paper towels. Yeah, paper towels are definitely going to soak up that water. And we just
Bounty, the quicker picker up.
Right. And we just need more prison cells, mostly for government officials.
Right. Release the prisoners. Put the government in there. We'll be all right.
Oh goodness. There's a cool little newspaper, and I'll share a link, but it's kind of they'll give you like a scripture verse and then just like an unbiased opinion. Like, this is literally what's happening, not one way or the other. Just here's what was said. Right. It's oddly enough, it's something like the Morning Brew or what else, much like what we do anyway. So they give the news story, and then they give like a little scripture verse. So that's kind of how I've been keeping up on my news.
Sweet.
Because
so they copied us.
Well, yeah, kind of. Except that we don't bother to go out and get the facts. We just spew whatever we want in the morning.
That's what we do.
And we do speak truth.
That's our truth.
It is true.
We start with truth.
Well, truth is all relative to where you are in it. So,
well, that's what we start with.
That's why I like the Freestyle Friday Ask Us Anything. I get to make up the answers.
Right.
So I'm right.
And they don't matter anyway.
I
So.
don't agree with them. I'm sorry. You're probably right too, but I'm right.
Good morning, Adam. Who wants to pray us in? Because we've prattled for 10 minutes already.
Let's let Mike pray us in.
All right, I'll pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this opportunity to get together in person, speak to our community, and speak your word of truth out there. And please be with everyone that's listening right now live with us, and in the future that may watch this. Be with everyone as they go about their day, going into people's homes, make change in the world, be the change that we want to see in this world, and to most importantly, follow your guidance and your word. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about, I tell you one thing I noticed at PSA is customer base is different in all of the areas that we service, right? And I started to notice that when we came up here last time.
No.
It's like, why you struggle with the customers? Why you get so many complaints? And you're providing the good service, right? You're doing the same things I'm doing. And you have to talk to people differently in different areas, right? And I was talking to a feller in New York City last week down at PSA. And, he's wondering how I got so many 5-star reviews. And then I'm slowly relating it all. Like, what I do to satisfy my customers is different than what you can do in New York City.
Well, you're in Kentucky, where everybody loves everybody.
Everybody's
He's in
happy.
New York, where everybody hates everybody.
Yeah.
We had
completely
this conversation over dinner last night.
Yeah.
Like, up here it's a different world.
Yeah.
People don't understand until they've actually experienced the customer base up here. Like, there's only a few of us.
Yeah.
Joe Maida, right? Like, if you're out there watching, you understand what our customer base is, right? James Dolbear understands what the customer base in Chicagoland is. EJ thought I was full of crap until he came on a couple customer calls and went.
And we had some good ones in that bunch.
Right.
That made me feel like I was at home. But here's the thing is, in Kentucky, you show up on time and look the part and try and just care. That's good. You do that and they're upset because you're taking too long here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Go.
I can have a conversation with my customer and walk them through options real slow. Okay, do you want to fix it? Do you not? Here's what the new prices are. And then I come up and Tony, I rode with Tony for the day in Joliet. And he's like, okay, so you got 1 and you got 2 and you got 3. So what are you going to do? I'm like, dude, what the heck? And that's how people react here. That's what they want. So we talk about transactional customers or relational customers. And I want relational customers. Zach wants relational customers. Those are the customers that appreciate and will wait for you. They want that interaction. They want to know that they can count on you. And in some areas, they're harder to find than others.
Oh, yeah.
So, one of the questions that we as a team get asked all the time, well, what's up with Zach, like transitioning out of being an appliance tech, right? And Mike doesn't own an appliance company. He never has. He's an SEO guy, right? So it's been a good transition for me. But that's the answer. That's part of a good 90% of the reason why that transition was a good thing for me. Because I want relational customers.
Well, it's not just the customers. It's finding local employees.
Oh, for sure.
Who are relational. It's really hard.
Right. Because, well, I mean, we deal with this all the time within R5, right? You and I are very
aggressive
and brash
We
and
want- we say it like
facts,
it is.
get it done.
We get it, we spit it out, and we want
Right.
results and answers now.
Sometimes if we're not careful, we'll be offended.
Right. It's Chicago style. It's
Yeah.
Chicago style.
And we're not talking about pizza. We're just talking about these guys are transactional guys, but they're really relational if you get to know them.
Right.
Right. And some people read us differently.
Right.
Right. And we get along. We're all friends. We hug each other when we see each other. There's love, but it's just how you interact. And you got to know your customers, not just your target customer. Yes, absolutely.
I did grow up in the country, so just fairness.
You have to know who your target is. And in some cases, you have to embrace that and learn to love them where they are, right? And then sometimes maybe this ain't for me, right? Maybe this ain't the thing that I want to do. And I get stuck in Kentucky. I get like one bad customer a month, and I'm like, oh no, this guy's falling. What's going on? And then I would talk to you months ago. And it's like every single day. And I got to remind myself.
It wasn't one. It was like 5.
I'm all right.
Because in some markets, it's really, really hard to satisfy people. Their expectations are so high or so unrealistic.
Right.
Because of whatever their situation is, where they live. And I mean, you're a product of your environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your environment down by you is completely different than our environment here.
Oh yeah.
We would be run out of town down there.
You go into
you wouldn't like
into a McDonald's down by you, and then go into one here. You're gonna get completely different service.
So Robert says, I like how it gives depth to the group with everyone with different backgrounds. Now, we got a glowing review from Robert, and you know who Robert has dealt with? Mike and I. So there's that. But whether it's a manual that was missing or whatever, 9 times out of 10, if you're dealing with something technical within the Service Alliance group website or Facebook group, it's one of us. Like, the technical is what we do. And we got a glowing review out of that, right? So we can be relational when we know who our target customer is.
Robert.
Well,
Robert, tell us where you're from.
He's down in Texas, right,
like
Robert?
You're a Canadian flag
in Texas.
And Texas. Are you a Texas Canadian or a Canadian Texan?
Right. Robert, Dallas, Fort Worth is the best of both worlds. You have a southern feel with big city vibe, hustle and bustle with the charm, transactional and relationship based. Now, you can have transactional and relationship all over the place, right? Because you've experienced transactional customers down by you. Most of our customers up here are transactional, but you get the occasional relational.
Yeah.
And it's all in how you
that old
approach from there.
We went to.
Oh yeah, they were great.
The sidekick.
Yeah.
They brought us in the side room when we was done, and they playing the piano and singing.
Yeah.
That was cool. So those are my customers.
Right.
I don't know how they ended up in Joliet, but they actually live in Kentucky.
Jenny's Sharon, they had the customer only gives 5-star review if you give them service for free. Otherwise, it's 1-star. Yeah, that was by the way, I love Jenny's response to that. Like, she addressed that 1-star review all the way to the nitty gritty of it, not to call the customer out, but to go, okay, you might not be our customer, but to our next customer, this is how we do things.
Yeah, right.
I love that.
That's turning something bad into an opportunity.
That was so much integrity too, because we talk about it sometimes that when we're on social media, we only share the fun stuff, the good stuff, all the wins, and that's why I personally, when you come on to my episodes, I'm sharing the struggles, I'm sharing the grind. I'll tell you what I'm struggling with. That's how we can grow together. And Jenny just said, you know what? This is our first 1-star review. We share all the 5 stars.
Yep.
here's this one. Now you know we're straight. Now if you get to where you got to do that every week, Jenny, then it's kind of losing the steam. So you'll have to get Joe in a headlock or something. But
so Robert's in Texas, but he is Canadian.
okay.
Yep, Windsor, Ontario, Canada, across from Detroit. So, Jennifer Malenhow.
It's Malenhow.
Mall. Whatever.
Correct us, Jennifer. It's Malenhow, right? Zach's the loser.
Conversation we had at
You just call her
PSA.
Phil's boss.
That's the truth. We had a conversation at PSA how we interact with our Georgia and South Carolina is completely different than the interactions with our Ohio customers.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And shout out to my buddy that is their, main CSR in Sydney. Yeah, she is awesome up there in Ohio. Shout out.
Yeah, our community is on fire with the comments today.
Not my customer. I would call them out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I generally just call them out and then block the phone number. Anyway, Jenny says, thanks. I am a legal immigrant.
We'll take you.
We like you. We like you. You got it, EJ. Whatever. See, so we can't really comment on that because I think there's value in them both.
Yes.
What's better, PSA or ASTI?
Right. I've been to both, and I thoroughly enjoyed both. Okay. ASTI was a little bigger. There was more attendance, but I got the same feel at PSA. Like the trade show was good. We had a good turnout, and the dinners, they were good. The networking is what you go there for.
Yep.
It was there. Everything was there. I heard rumors that PSA was less than, and maybe just in attendance, but it was the same experience. So yeah, I'm not going to say better or worse. They're both worth going to.
What was your favorite class that you attended, session that you attended? Like by far, what was the one that stood out the most?
So the one I enjoyed the most was different than the one I got the most out of. And it's just because things clicked in my head during another one. Okay. Dean Landers. Anytime Dean Landers is talking, go sit down and listen to it. Okay. He did one scaling up. So it was the things that you got to consider and draw out and make sure you have in place before you grow. We talk about this all the time. You guys have seen my rapid growth in my business. And this year it's starting to hurt because as much as we talk about it and put things in place, it's different when you get more, like more techs. You can't run it like you have 1 and 2 when you have 3. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize like one more tech would make that big of a difference.
You mean when I said bigger business, bigger problems, that didn't resonate with you yet?
I don't listen to you.
I know you don't.
Have you noticed that? Like every time a light bulb clicks in my head, I'm like, Zach, I just came to this realization. He's like, really? I told you that 6 months ago.
We actually had that conversation last night. It is funny how it happens, but sometimes it does just take that different tone, that different voice to help you hear it for sure.
The other end, shout out to John. I can't remember his last name. John led a class, triage. And I've been sharing for the last 2 weeks. I've been really focused on inventory and pre-trip diagnosis, triage. That's where our inefficiencies are really taking over for me. We got great customer service. We're getting the jobs done. We're selling. And we just can't sell enough to overcome our inefficiencies. And it was just right on time. So it's not like that class was mind-blowing, but it had the right stuff to click in my head. Okay, I got it. And I got so much out of it because the conversation that happened inside the class and the different ideas that triggered. It was great. So it's not always the class or the instructor or even the people sitting in the room. It's all of it.
You hear what you need to hear when you need to hear it.
A good instructor and facilitator is going to get the room involved,
Right.
so that you can learn from each other. And I think that's the best way.
Yeah. So I wasn't disappointed with any of them except for the one that didn't show up the last day.
Call the instructor.
Well, but I heard
tips
that
and
ended
tricks.
up turning out really good anyway.
Yeah. So we all instructed each other. So like there was about 6 or 7 of us in the room, and the instructor didn't show up. It was like we were joking like 5 minutes in, like maybe this guy doesn't show up, and we just network and talk to each other. And that's what we did.
We ended up
Waiting for
turning
him.
it into a big roundtable discussion group.
Yeah.
And it was very, very fruitful for everyone there.
It was
Nice.
fun. We kind of got
And it was
off.
about warranty. And it was like, really?
Yeah.
It's a good continued conversation.
Yeah.
We need to have another oval
It
table.
ended
on
up
that.
being,
Another oval
hey,
table.
we're at an oval table.
We are at an
We
oval
are
table.
at an oval table.
It's not an oval office though. So.
No.
It's kind of an oblong.
Oblong table.
It's got two straight edges. So we're having an oblong table discussion.
He wants. Michael wants to know, what advice do you have for an individual looking to step out on his own? You know what I start with?
We need like a week-long podcast for that.
Why?
That's it. Start with why.
Because if you don't know why you're stepping away from where you're at and trying to do it on your own, you're never going to be able to answer any question that comes after that. Because if you're just leaving because your boss is a jerk and you think that you can do it better, okay, your boss might be a jerk, and that is a very valid reason to look for a new job. But are you ready to run your own business?
That's
Are
one of
you
those,
ready
be
to
careful what you ask for, you just might get
right?
type of situation.
It don't stop.
So I always start with why.
Yeah.
When
There's a book called Start With Why also.
right, which I made Doug read. By the way, book club starts Wednesday.
Which one are we doing?
21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
All right, I'll do that one.
The one that I dropped. I was supposed to do a post yesterday, but I couldn't stay awake. I had 60 hours in 3 days. Like
Yeah.
I was wiped out after this weekend.
So Michael, I want to add on to that. Yes, definitely start with why, because it's hard. There's a lot to it, right? And when you get in the grind, if you can't remember why you're doing it or why doesn't matter enough, you're just going to fail. You'll fall apart. Your relationships will fall apart. Everything. It's not. It matters why. If you're just doing it for money, you're probably not going to like it because it takes a little bit to make some money. There's people out there that'll tell you you're going to make killer money in the first week or in first month, first year, you're going to make 80 grand. You might sell 80 grand in the first year.
But you ain't
Like,
pocketing that.
My years went first half year was 18. Second year was part-time. I did 65. And the first year was, or the first full-time year, 225. I didn't keep much of that. Like the first one, 18, I actually put in 3,000 to get to that point. It's like it's a grind. You have to want it, and why are you doing it matters. So aside from that, aside from the why, look into what it takes to start and run a business and make sure that you follow the steps. So the biggest thing is the E-Myth Revisited. Read that book before you start. Okay. The E-Myth is the entrepreneurial myth that all good techs are good business owners, right? That if you're a great technician, that you're going to be great at business, or that all business owners are good business owners, right? So I'm a tech. That's what I've been my whole career. turns out I'm a little better at business than I was as a tech, because I wasn't a great tech, but I was a tech. So it kind of worked. But there's lots of people out there that's just techs, and they don't realize you got to make the phone ring. You got to know your numbers. You guys talked about that last week.
You wear many hats when you're.
You got to know where your money's coming from and where it's going. So there's a lot of business stuff that's not fun that makes the whole thing fun.
You got to realize, if you're a technician, you spent how many years, getting that craft to where it is now. Your experience, it's the same once you transition into business ownership. Now you've got to start over, and you've got to culture that end of it as well, and learn that craft, because it's a completely different craft, and it's hard to get both, built up again. It's hard to maintain your technician side if you're focused on the business side as well. It's really hard to maintain both.
Yeah.
So at some point you have to choose which is going to be your primary.
I subcontract out my live sound, right? So you're talking about, this is just a great example. And that's why I spent 60 hours gone this weekend. So I've spent the last 15 years actively honing the craft of being a live sound engineer. Like, I have some of the best mentors around. I mean, like, there are some great mixers in Chicagoland that I have had a chance to sit at their feet and see how they mix things and see how they make people sound good on stage or on recordings, whatever, right? So 15 years honing that craft. I don't own a live sound production company. I subcontract myself out for someone else because I don't want the headache. I want to be able to go out and do the live sound and actually push and enjoy and do that stuff. Meanwhile, I watch my friend Jim and Jim just tearing what little hair they have out left, owning this live sound company. And they love doing it because they love being out there.
Their why is bigger than their pain doing it.
Right. And I can go and I can support them as a live sound engineer. They put me on a stage by myself. I had a second sound guy with me who was running around and doing the other stuff because they knew that they could go, here it is, do it.
Yeah.
So your why does matter. It seems like a silly example, but it's a clear story of why.
It's a good example. You get to go out and enjoy it, even though it's a lot of work. You don't have to do all the stuff you don't want to do. And I do the same thing with I have a freelance drone photography. So I got some drones and I fly them around, take pictures of real estate and farms and stuff. That's not my business. I do that for fun and I get paid for it. But I don't want to focus on going out and trying to meet all these people. I like this. I like the appliance repair. I'm growing technicians that change their lives, and they get to go and help everybody else. So what's your why? Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, he said he wants to look for a more sustainable future for myself and my family. You can do that just as well as an employee. So it has to go deeper than that, Michael. It really does have to go deeper than creating a sustainable future. Because actually what happens first is a very uncertain future.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very uncertain future.
And then that doesn't continue. It just kind of ebbs and flows.
Yeah. As they say, when you get to 5 years, you got it, right? How long was it for you?
6.
Okay. You know what I mean? So I like where your heart is, Michael, and you're on the right track.
Yeah, we're not saying no. We're just saying make sure you know.
And we are not trying to discourage anybody from doing this, okay?
Right.
It's great fun. It's challenging and it's very rewarding. It's work hard, play hard. Okay. I get to take trips and my business pays for it and it's a write-off and I get to meet other people. This stuff is fun, but we do this to caution because we want you to check yourself.
But you can only do that once you make money to be able to do that.
Right. You don't get yourself in a hole.
Right.
doing something you don't like because your why was weak. And I'll tell you, when I started just to make a little extra money. I said, okay, yeah, this is fun. I was flipping appliances. It was fun. Like I could fix a dryer and I could make an extra couple $100 and it was cash. This is cool. And I started for the wrong reason. But my why showed itself. Like, this is fun. I like helping people.
Well, and you had mentors and people walking alongside you, helping you.
After I got to a certain point, I met the Appliance Alliance, and we got in our mastermind group, and stuff started clicking. Because before that, I was literally doing it for fun, because I wasn't making any money. Like, if you don't make so much money, then it's a hobby. And if it was going to be a real job, I had to step up,
stop tinkering,
and it's long days, long nights, like
sleepless nights.
I'm going out, doing calls from 8 to 6, and then from 6 to 10, I'm sitting in the room doing numbers while we're watching TV shows. And my wife's like, "You don't ever sit with me anymore." Like, yeah, I know, it sucks. I'm doing this now so we can do this later.
Right.
And it's balance. It's work-life balance.
I mean, you've heard me say it before, and that is the epitome of it. You are willing to pay the price now to pay any price later.
To get the rewards, yeah.
Right.
So we got off of the target customer.
Sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Right.
Especially if it's in Illinois. If it is greener on the other side, it's because it took a lot of fertilizer to get it there. So keep that in mind.
And you know what fertilizer is?
Oh, so much truth in that. So much truth in that. Definitely appreciate the input. I'll be doing some soul searching in the near future. That's all we're asking, man. That is all we're asking, is that you make sure before you put your family in a position that you're not ready to put them in. And if you are, dude, more power to you. Absolutely. We'll encourage you and cheer you on for sure.
Absolutely. We want to be part of that journey, Michael.
We had a lot come in.
And if the grass ain't green enough for you, the best grass is blue. The bluegrass.
Kentucky bluegrass.
Oh boy. Best lighting business and from Chicago. Yep. Live like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow.
Dave Ramsey.
Saul says you get to meet me. Yes, in reference to traveling.
I got to meet Saul.
Eagle Eye wants to know some of the gold nuggets that Dean threw out. That's almost everything he says.
He got a lot. He had a lot. I was pretty impressed with.
First thing on my list here, it's one of the top things. Start with why. Bam, there it is. I just pulled up my notes.
So there's that.
Thoughts that are not written down are only ideas. Write them down and they become plans.
Huh. It sounds a lot like what I said on Thursday about writing down goals.
Nobody becomes a contract.
I know.
Relational versus transactional. That was just a thought that popped in my head, and that's why we're talking about it now.
Is it because my beard isn't long enough?
They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. There's some nuggets. We talk about it.
That is my favorite Dean-ism.
Yeah, that one.
That they
don't know how much you care.
Yeah, they don't care how much. I was saying that long before I heard him, but that that just kind of solidified it for me.
Then we had this one. The other one I did was planning for retirement, so it's just more ideas. But those are some gold nuggets. Check out ASTI coming up in February, San Antonio. I'm sure Dean will be down there. I'm sure he'll be teaching a class. He's very wise. He's got a lot of intellectual property, right? That's what he calls the gray hair and experience.
Intellect, period.
Justin asks, what's the most valuable lesson you've each learned in owning your own business? Life lessons as well. That's like an entirely different episode.
You can write a book.
Yeah.
I can write a book on what not to do.
That's tough, Justin.
So that was, maybe that's a good way to segue into this. We were actually talking about that last night. Like that's part of why I share the way that I do, because so many out there share just the good stuff.
Mhm.
I'd rather be open and share the manure.
For me personally, I'll answer. The biggest problem that I had was allowing myself to put pride aside. I had to put pride aside and ask for help in multiple areas.
That's great.
Because I tried to do it on my own and I thought I'm smart enough, I'll figure it out. And I found out it takes a hell of a lot longer to figure it out when you're doing it that way. And once you start walking a lot alongside other mentors in your business, you get there so much quicker. There's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. And that kind of can work the other way too. But if you want to go far, go together. And
You'll go far fast.
You'll go farther faster than you ever realized.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I was thinking, you guys know that I've been through a recovery program and AA, and one of the things that clicked when you're talking, right, is people struggle sometimes to find the higher power, and it's like, okay, take God out of it, right? I don't take God out of it, but take God out of it if that's what's bothering you, okay? And me and you, we're greater than me, right?
Absolutely.
If I hook up with you, you don't make me worse.
Right? Oh, I definitely make you better.
That's it. So we is greater than me. So yes, yeah. I like it. And my growth in my business was pretty steady. But then when I met you guys and we came together, I mean, it went straight up. And it happened. It just changes things. But my thought on it was definitely the why, but strictly business, okay? And you can take this too, Michael. Get a plan, a business plan, a 5-year vision, a 10-year vision. And that's one of the things I glossed over. I did note that down from Dean too. So know where you want to go. It's going to change, and it better change. Okay, and that's my thought. Figure out where you want to go, and then you may want to go farther, or you may want to go this way. Okay, adapt. Like, this is one thing that I've noticed this year for me is I had a target of where I wanted to go and how fast I wanted to go there, and it's changing, and I'm okay with changing. Like, I don't like change, but I like change.
How are you measuring that?
Measuring what?
That it's changing.
Oh, I don't know how I'm measuring it.
It's written down.
Yeah.
So, you can't. That's why we say write it down. Like, you don't know. Yeah. Did I hit this target? Did I miss this target? Unless you wrote the stinking target down.
And sometimes you have to change your processes. It's okay, because the thing that you're doing to get to where you want to go doesn't always work. Don't be stuck in that. Change, right? Adjust, adapt.
So I mean, the world changes around us, and we have no control over it. All these situations, your market could change, and you have no idea why. Wow.
But what is in your control,
changes, right? And it causes you to make shifts,
how
right?
You respond to it
from more mechanical repairs to more, technical repairs, electronic technical repairs. You're going to have to be a computer programmer at some point in this game, guaranteed, and you're going to have to make some big shifts. So you're not going to be able to control that. You have to follow the path that's being led.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned is you can learn from anyone, anywhere. They don't have to be in your industry to gain those valuable lessons, right? Like, you can, I mean, some of the best things that I did in the business came from health coaches or, a plumber,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like they didn't come from anyone within our industry. And so like those lessons, just shut up and listen, right? Like sometimes that's what it takes, is just sitting and actually listening.
It's an 80-20 rule.
Right.
Listen 80% of the time.
2 ears, 1 mouth.
Exactly.
Right.
It's funny. I've heard people reference the 80-20 rule like half dozen times in the last week, and they all use a different reference for it.
Right.
It's I heard Justin say it. He says it's the 80-20 rule. I'm like, that doesn't freaking make any sense the way you're using it. Sometimes I think people just say 80-20 rule because a lot of people say 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
But
I use 80-20 rule because of running. 80% of my runs are low intensity and 20% are I can't breathe.
so I think, and it's supposed to be like 80% of your income or whatever your business comes from 20% that you focus on or whatever.
Yep.
Focus on the parts that matter because it makes the bigger difference. That's the way I understood 80-20.
But unless you go after that 100%, you'll never know what that 20% actually is.
Yeah.
That's the most effective for you.
The reality is that 80-20 is a universal principle, no matter how you apply it. It's a very useful principle in anything you do. And if you approach 80-20 in everything that you do, you'll almost always hit that 100%.
Yeah.
So I like it. Wow. Hey, someone actually liked my answer. There's a first time for everything.
They don't want you to know who he is, though.
I had a gunny in the Marine Corps tell me, if you can't marry a Marine Corps, you shouldn't waste your time. Translate that to, if you can't give something your full attention, it ain't worth it. That is 100% true.
I'll buy that.
The Pareto principle, known as the 80-20 rule, is a theory maintaining 80% of the output from a given situation or system determined by 20% of the input. The principle doesn't stipulate that all situations will demonstrate that precise ratio, but it refers to a typical distribution. So universal principle.
That sounds like what I said, Jimmy. Thanks.
Copy pasted directly from Wikipedia.
The nerd definition from Jenny.
Yeah. So
and Google.
I gave it to you in the dumbed down version. Jenny's cleaning it up for all of you guys that think a little better than me. I have to hear things differently, and that's why when Zach says something to me, he
doesn't hear it. He just
speaks right here over my head, like it catches the button on my hat. I'm like, okay, there's something there. But some people speak down into my heart because they speak where I understand. And Dean is so freaking smart, but he speaks where I understand it. Zach, you're too smart for me.
No, I just don't know how to speak to you.
I don't like your attitude.
He doesn't speak Kentuckian.
I don't like your Chicago attitude.
It happens. No, but that goes back to our original conversation, right? Like knowing your target customers, right? Yeah. You have to know what language they speak. And I become more intentional in who I'm speaking to and knowing who my audience is.
Know your audience. In
how I present something. And if I see the blank stares, then I try and go, okay, how am I saying this that it's not connecting? What do I need to correct in myself so that the audience can hear it? And you can take that to your same customers, right? Like, okay, I have my customers and they're not connecting with me.
You can articulate the same thing.
Us until it's them.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to say something else too, and it's kind of in a different direction. What we got here?
So I use the 80-20 rule with my wife. 80% of the time she's right, and 20% of the time I thought I was right. So 100% of the time she is right. I love it.
I like that song. That's good.
Love it.
What I was thinking about when I was thinking about this topic, right? Jenny had shared the 1-star review that they got, and
80% of your problems come from 20% of your customers.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jenny.
So Jenny and Joe had a difficult customer this week, and I had 2 things that come up Friday, right? One was a previous warranty customer that when I went out, I took the $100 deductible, right? And I said, I'm going to recommend that we replace your dishwasher. Okay. Cause it was in terrible shape. And the guy was like bragging to me that he's been a customer of this warranty company for 15 years and he's had them replace 12 appliances already in the time. And I was like, all right, whatever. And he ended up calling like 2 days later, like mad, cussing me out because I had declined service to his house because I recommended they replace it. Wrote me a big 1-star review. These guys obviously don't have any intention of fixing your stuff. They just want to come take the money and whatnot. And he wasn't even home to understand what I was saying, right? And another warranty call came in today, like a year later. And my office help is the ones that answered the phone. I sent them the request. I didn't even think about it. And then they messaged back like, hey, you had this customer marked DNS, don't service. Do you want us to book it anyway? I'm like, absolutely not. I remember this guy now. It's like, no. Okay. And then the other one was a warranty customer that we don't even do warranty work for. We went out and then we find out he's a warranty customer. We gave the diagnosis. He said, okay, there's that. I'm going to pay. And he left the house, like right in the middle of it after he paid. And we were supposed to look at his fridge under COD. Well, for the next 3 days, he's upset that we haven't called his warranty company yet so he can get reimbursed. I'm like, that's not even one that we deal with, right? And he's increasingly more and more upset. I'm like, the guy that was at your house has been on vacation for the last 2 days. I'm not calling him because I don't know what the heck happened yet, right? The moral of this story is when I started, I would be eager to have those customers. I need any customers. Any call is a good call, right? I want it. If you want me to come there, I'll work on your vacuum. I don't freaking care. I just let me come to your house and fix something. And now that I'm growing, I realize, you know what? That's not what matters. You got, and that's the book yourself solid principle, right? Is you do your best work for your ideal customer, doing the things that you do the best, where you prefer to do them.
But it takes a long time to get there.
I'm not doing good for those 2 customers. I don't want them. It's okay. It's not that you're a jerk. I don't want you. I'm not the best company for you.
It's not a good fit.
You're not a good fit for me. I could recommend you some that you'll probably fit in with. Great people. It's not me.
Well, that's knowing your strengths and weaknesses too, right? Like,
Yeah.
I just had this conversation with some new members of our community. They're an HVAC company that purchased an appliance company in our area. And I said, narrow your focus. Keep it narrow, especially since your guys don't know what they're doing yet, right? Like they're new to appliance. And I told them, like, no offense, but I'd rather be a residential HVAC technician than a freaking appliance technician any day.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, we had to be plumbers and electricians and HVAC techs and electrical techs and everything in between, right? Like CSRs all the way. Like we had to do everything as appliance techs. I would rather be a residential HVAC tech than deal with appliances. I'm like, your furnaces come apart in 4 ways. 5/16 screws, Phillips screws, tabs, and they slide.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's all the same thing. It's 2 panels that come off of your furnace and you're into the furnace, and it might be a control board versus like, so you have to narrow your focus. You have to know what your target is. You have to know what your strong suit is, right? If your guys are really good at refrigeration, like they understand the principles of refrigeration because they're HVAC techs, stick them on refrigerators, go out and change them compressors and make that money. If they understand furnaces, send them out there on ovens and dryers because they just smaller furnaces.
Yeah.
You know? So it's knowing what you are strong in and what you are weak in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you can't improve those things that you're weak in, but you start there and then you can figure out how to build out from there.
That's right. It's good stuff. I feel like I'm running out of gas here, guys.
That's just because you're sleeping.
We've over an hour.
That's because you started an hour earlier than you normally do.
This one, yeah. Time zones. Time zones are for the birds.
You started at the same time, just in a different time zone.
Yeah. Like it's 8:00. We should be getting started soon. That's when I start. Man, this was fun.
Yeah. It was a good time.
How do we figure out how we can do this every time? Like together.
You'll have to move to Chicago.
Like we've already established at the beginning that you guys have to travel too. And I'm the one that's got to move here. Come on.
Well, I got a granddaughter now, and my wife won't let me move, so I'm stuck.
I'm obviously the not the smartest one in this room. Okay. I don't want to say I'm the dumbest, but I'm not the smartest. But I figured that one out. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. Well, you probably do, but you'd be better off if you weren't.
Zach, do you think the rest anywhere else in the country, especially the South, could put up with us?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly.
You should probably end up somewhere like Indianapolis first.
You know, I'm kind of like a chameleon. I know. Didn't we have that discussion last night that like everyone from Chicago is moving down there and making it terrible? I don't want to move from here to end up with the same idiots I'm trying to get away from.
Everyone from here is moving to
It's a
Nashville.
gradual move.
Yeah.
Going to where?
Nashville.
Don't you guys ruin Nashville. Don't you do it.
I'm going west.
Don't do it.
Although JT keeps trying to get me to go down to Clarksville.
We should wrap it up. We're rambling.
We're just having fun now. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Putting up with all this shenanigans.
EJ's going to go up and diagnose Mike's oven and washer because he's the appliance repair tech in the house, and I'm going to go measure Mike's floor.
Now you're a flooring tech.
I got my stuff. The floor for you, baby.
Floor for you.
No, actually, I have a couple measures coming up, so that'll be fun. Get to do them solo. Yeah.
Moving on.
All right, we'll answer this one. Are you guys considering doing a camping trip or something along those lines and broadcasting it live like a spiritual? So actually, I was talking with David Oliva, and we're trying to figure out how to get like, you know, because he did that big mountain hike thing, right? We're trying to figure out how to get that together. I keep trying to get Rob to do like a bike race somewhere or whatever, but you know, that's
you and Rob.
Right. It'd be the two of us. So
Dean would be part of it.
But I do, Dean would be a part of it. So there'd be three of us at least. No, but I like the idea of like going and doing like a camping thing no, let's not go to the fake mountains of Appalachia. Let's go do a real mountain.
Let's go Smoky Mountain.
All right, we can do Smoky Mountains. But something like that, like a hiking, camping trip as service community. Be really fun. Be a good time.
Fun.
So
thanks all.
Jenny says thanks. And with that, we're gonna quit prattling. Or we'll just keep going.
Yes.
I need to take a nap. So tomorrow, Zach will be on with Doug. Probably not live in person together. And,
it's true.
Tomorrow,
I'm not going to Connecticut.
I'm going to see Derek Dennis from TikTok.
Oh, fun.
Derek with 2 R's. Everett with 2 T's is going down to see Derek with 2 R's. And look for his channel.
You've been waiting all morning to use that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike
I
brought
thought
that up
so.
last night. So he's going to do an interview with me. So check out his channel, Derek with 2 R's.
I just
Sweet.
for those of you who are looking for job management, we have I'm working on another one. We got Service Titan coming soon. I just I connected with one of their VPs. We've been friends for a few years. I connected with him the other day, and so that podcast will be coming soon.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
good stuff coming, guys. Have a good day, and we'll catch you later. Peace.